but we'll talk about it later. So,
Yes,
Chuck, CF,
Yes. How's it going?
talk to me, baby.
it's going.
Hey.
I'm representing the spaghetti western. Represent.
Yes, you are,
Oh, I
because
see.
somebody
Yes.
had to, and it wasn't going to be me because I've seen some of them, but it is not my genre. So
Okay.
thank you
Well, I
for
will say
taking
real
us
quick,
on that.
if you're just not into or interested in American westerns, you will find something in spaghetti westerns because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very
True.
different and weird. Not all of them, but
Yes.
go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, well, you're representing the spaghetti western a lot better than I am because all I got is a top hat and just the way I'm framed
Yeah,
is
but aren't you
basically you're
gonna?
not going to see the top of my head. So
Yeah, you can see me
anyway,
when I started with Dwayne. I was like up here. I got some reclining. Go ahead.
yeah, no,
Getting comfy.
Yeah,
I'm just
among friends.
I'm in constant pain, so I'm kind of moving back
Oh
and
fuck, man.
forth.
I
Oh
was like that
man, I feel
Thursday,
that.
Friday, and Saturday. So I'm
Yeah.
with you, man.
Same.
Please take care of yourself. You too, Bill.
You know it. But yeah, so I'm going with spaghetti westerns and I'm starting
Woo.
out with The Great Silence.
Yep.
And
Which in some ways is the best in its way, I
Mhm.
think, too.
it's astonishing.
It is.
Heather has been I saw this movie for the first time ever about a week ago. Heather has been talking this one up to me since the day we met.
Yeah, she's been
And
into the movie for a long time.
she's really championed it. And yes, 1968 is Sergio Corbucci. Once again, Jean-Louis Trinidad.
You can't get away from this guy, and he's French, and he's everywhere in Italy.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you pronounced his name earlier because I knew I was going to butcher it because I've studied Italian. I have not studied French. I'm very bad at French
It's
name
okay. I'm good at
pronunciation.
pronouncing French. I'm still
Yeah.
trying. I'm still trying to perfect Japanese. I'm getting there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not particularly good with that. Playing the titular Silence and hell of a cast. Klaus Kinski is the villain or kind of a semi-villain, Loco. And so you're gonna get a lot of scenery chewed there.
Yeah.
Uh, Vonetta McGee as the heroine of the movie, and fantastic,
She dubbed
absolutely
herself too,
fantastic.
unlike everybody else.
Huh?
That's her voice. She
She
dubbed
dubbed
herself.
herself. Oh hell yeah!
She's
It's just
sublime, and I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. George.
no, but yeah, she is.
I'm
And
piggybacking. That's what Keith said.
piggyback. Feel free to
Collaborating,
piggyback.
collaborative
Yeah.
overlapping.
But no,
Uh,
go ahead, man.
Frank Wolf as the new sheriff in town, the
Yeah.
very said beleaguered sheriff who great actor. He was in
The Licorice Quartet.
the Licorice Quartet. And
Totally different character.
yes, totally different character, totally different movie.
I
And
love him. He died very, he killed himself in
he killed himself.
1971
Yeah.
because he
Holy
thought his
hell.
career wasn't going anywhere. He'd done like 10 years of some of the most distinctive character work in America and Italy, and then he's like, I got nothing. I'm not making any money. Fuck. He killed himself.
Yeah, wasn't that
Isn't that right,
yeah.
Bill? Have you read that? That's what I've read.
I didn't know that.
Okay, I just wanted to know because you know a lot of
Uh,
stuff. Do you
I'm
like Frank
thinking,
Wolf?
wasn't that before Licorice even came out?
It was around the time it was shot.
Around
I
this,
think it did come out
yeah.
after he died. He was
Yeah.
Jill's mail order husband in Once Upon a Time in the West.
Okay.
Yeah. That might be his most well-known role. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Luigi Pistilli as the big bad, Mr. Polycut or Polycott or Polygret
yeah.
or something. But anyway, a very cold, barren kind of western taking place at a mountain town with lots of snow. And this has got a pretty astonishing setup and just kind of a interesting, kind of unique tableau because you've got just this mountain range, it's mountain area. You've got these people who are basically kind of quote unquote outlaws, and it's hard to tell exactly what they are. It doesn't go into specifics,
Yeah.
but just the gang of guys who are just all off in the mountains by themselves, and they've got like they keep going on and preaching about how they're going to settle someplace where this is America, and we're going to settle someplace where we can say what we want and do what we want. And I don't know if there's supposed to be maybe excuse me, a group of Mormons.
Yeah.
Which probably would be right
They're
for the time.
Mormons. Well, there's two groups. They're Mormons. Yeah, those are the ones that are saying that. But then the
Mhm.
outlaw guys are in the beginning, and I think if you I only because I've seen the movie a million times. If you read enough between the lines, they're what you would call misdemeanors nowadays. But
Yeah.
yet people like Loco can hunt and kill them for money because he's a bounty hunter. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of where because he kills a certain character. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then there are these some of these folks are like defecting and trying to go back to town because you got these quote unquote lawyers and whatever who are conning them into believing, okay, we're going to get a fair trial, maybe we'll be okay, and then they end up getting gunned down and killed, usually by a loco. And who's turning them in? Cat appearance. Kitty cat butt. But where my kitty cats are out of there. They're not
waiting
in
for
here.
mine to show up for a cameo.
They think Daddy is very boring. My own kitty cats.
Oh,
we
don't think they're boring.
When they do come in, they're going to take over. Anyway, so there's this big bounty racket going on. This big bounty hunting racket going on, which Polycut is pretty much the head of, and he's collecting they're collecting all these bounties from him. But these settlers are out there. The sheriff comes to town, and they're out there basically waylaying him and stealing his horse for food. And he finally gets to town, and Pauline's husband is one of these quote unquote outlaws who.
Tell the audience who Pauline is.
Pauline is Vanetta McGee's character.
Yep. You mentioned her, but not Pauline.
Yeah, okay. Plenty of racism going on in here too. It's like, wow, I think
they were the only black people there.
Yeah, they actually charged just as much for a black man. That's crazy. And these people are
what a scandal.
And it's ridiculous, it's
racism is ridiculous.
The racism, the way the racism is that up front, it's just and these are just awful people who are pretty much they've got this town, this mountain town under their thumb, but Silence is a gunfighter, a quote unquote bounty hunter who is mute because Polycut and a couple other people came when he was a little kid and killed his father. And because he was screaming and they were afraid he'd talk or whatever, they slit his throat. So you've got this silent bounty hunter who's basically almost like the Robin Hood of gunfighters. He comes out and he helps.
And he's the sharpest dresser in any spaghetti western I've ever seen.
Yeah, he is.
And he has the coolest guns.
That's right. And it's just like this hand cannon or something like that.
There's a name for that kind of gun, and they converted it a little bit. I read about it, but I can't remember the name of the gun. But it's a German make, but that's why it looks vaguely like a Mauser or Luger or whatever. I don't know. Guns like never owned a gun. Go ahead.
No,
yeah, same. I don't know much.
Yeah, just a lot of you gun carriers out there may be able to enlighten us.
Yes, please do, because
there is a story
behind know enough.
There is a story about how they made his gun, designed his gun. I mean, some people might find it boring, but I love all that minutia of filmmaking. So I just don't recall it well enough to recount it. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you're out there listening, feel free to enlighten us. And you're at it. Just tell us y'all like the video and share,
let us know,
subscribe, all that good stuff.
Subscribe.
ring the bell for notifications.
Subscribe so you can hear me like wax poetic about how cool swords and knives are at some point, because that's my thing.
Hail to the yeah. But
I like pointy things, okay? I don't like shooty things as much. They're just not my interest. I don't know.
Oh, it's so damn it.
I want to try axe throwing sometime, actually. There's an axe throwing place like right by my gym.
Yeah, we've got one of those too somewhere.
They're so cool. I'm like, I gotta try this, man. I gotta try it.
It's kind of like no big heavy, throwing sharp things. You don't want me near those.
Charlotte hasn't gotten that progressive and cultured yet.
Nah.
Y'all need to get you some axe throwing places, and my Southern just came out super hard. I know I don't sound like I'm from the South at all, but every now and then I'm just like, y'all need.
Well, y'all is collective. It's not.
Yes.
It's migrated gradually from the South.
It has, but it's still a Southernism. And listen, I grew up in Georgia since I was like 2, so I'm still Southern. I just don't sound like
Southern.
it.
I'm not ashamed of being Southern. I'm ashamed of a lot of the rednecks who live in the state next to me, and they're too close to my house with fireworks and guns. But,
I feel
cool
that.
Go ahead, CF.
No, I'm a Yankee who's lived down here for the past 25 years, and I use y'all copiously.
What state are you in? What state are you in? I keep forgetting.
Arkansas.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay. Not far from me.
My
That's
last
cool.
girlfriend was from Arkansas.
Yeah, Northwest Arkansas, which is kind of the nice end of Arkansas, but still it's Arkansas.
She lived in the squalid area, unfortunately.
Nah.
But Metro Atlanta, the very as far north as you can get and have it still be Metro Atlanta, and as far south as you can get and have it still be Appalachia is basically where I am. So, yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta's.
So we're all Southerners, all Southern people here. That's amazing.
That is kind of cool, actually.
We should do a reenactment.
Oh my god!
And since we're Southern, we all die.
I mean, I was born in the North, though, so there's that. But
I'm from New York. I don't know what side you all were fighting on, but I just
and my ancestors were up in New York and Pennsylvania and Canada, so.
Much like my
At some
actual
point, people
ancestors
ended up in Florida, and then my parents had the good sense to leave Florida.
Yeah. See, much like my actual ancestors in the Civil War, they came from New York, came down here, and shot a lot of shit up. That's my role. So
I'm here for it. Here for it. Needed to happen anyway.
Yeah, I was born in Massatucky, and I just moved down here 25 years ago. So I'm kind of what they call a hill rod. Yeah, I'm not really a hillbilly because I don't. I wasn't born here, but I
haven't heard that.
I've just kind of adapted the hillbilly ways, so I'm a hill rod.
I mean, I'm here for it. That's pretty awesome, actually.
Hill rod.
Hey guys,
you said hell rod.
I'm gonna actually have to go in a little bit. 2 hours is about all I can do. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's reasonable. I cannot believe it has already been that long.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Sorry, I covered so many movies.
Crap. I'm gonna try to speed this up here. Okay, so Pauline, in short, hires Silence to kill. Is it Loco or is it Polycut? I've already forgotten this. I think Loco.
It's Polycut, but Loco. Because they're both killers and bounty hunters.
And there's a lot of savagery, a lot of killing, and I think it's kind of almost the standard spaghetti western setup of Silence gets wounded and he's kind of out of commission, and Pauline tends to him, falls in love with him, and
it's such a great scene.
Which is wild because it's interracial, and kind of fantastic, but which kind of cool that you're seeing that. Then the ending to this really nailed me because all the good guys die. I mean, they all die.
Every single remotely sympathetic character is wiped out.
Yeah, and Klaus Kinski as Loco is like the last one standing and laughing over the whole thing. And of course, there's this kind of postscript rolling across the screen about how just eventually the practice of this bounty hunting thing was eventually outlawed, and so his time eventually comes to an end. But meanwhile, just all the good people have died, and I just turned and I said to Heather, that was grim. I mean, that was grim even for me. But the thing I didn't understand, Heather, I'm trying to remember who it was. Okay, so Corbucci put this thing out. He wouldn't change the ending.
They shot a different ending.
Okay, they did shoot a different ending,
but he disowned it. It's on one of the he's still in the Blu-ray extras. It's not considered canonical though.
Okay, but I'm trying to think when they first showed it for distributors in America. Who was it? I'm trying to think. Whoever the studio bigwig who saw it was just saying that he was glad to be the first person to say that this would never play in America. I'm trying to think. Was it Xanax?
Proud of being a censor.
Yeah,
way of life.
It's a way of life. The American way. But
so Chuck, here's the way I read Silence's profession or what he does, his vocation. He is a bounty hunter who almost exclusively hunts other bounty hunters. And that's why he's perfected his crippling shot. Do you remember that? He shoots off their thumbs so they can never hold a gun correctly.
Yeah.
So badass.
That's really cool. I love that.
But I don't know, but the big thing that I was told was Heather said this to me, was he dedicated the movie, I think it was to JFK, Martin Luther King Jr., and Che Guevara.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's heavy.
Corbucci was definitely a leftist. You watch a few of his
heavy.
movies, and that's
man.
kind of
I didn't know that, and I'm very intrigued, and that is an interesting combination of names.
Yeah. And so, I mean, props,
Yeah.
I'll tell you real quick before Bill has to go. When it had the restoration just a few years ago, not the first restoration when Fantoma did the DVD. I bought that one when it came out. I had never seen it before, but the recent one for the Blu-ray, it did play theatrically some places. It played theatrically here at our House Theater not long ago. Of course, Tim tells me these things way after, but I can't afford to take a Uber out there, but it did play for like 2 days. And I have that Blu-ray of that restoration, and apparently that tour of the movie did really well, and even more people got into it, and the Blu-ray is selling pretty well. So,
yeah,
nice.
So, sir, do you want to enlighten Mr. Bill Mulligan? Do you want to enlighten us next time with further?
Well, let me just do a quick one because the one I wanted to talk about was Cannibal Holocaust, but you can't rush something like that.
No. You can, but oh my gosh, we have got to do a part 2 for this at some point. I want to hear you wax poetic about it.
Oh, okay.
I think we could all wax poetic about that movie.
I did want to mention the spaghetti western. It's insane. I'm sure you've seen KEOMA.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites.
So KEOMA, it's a spaghetti western. It's got some very interesting editing, a lot of flashbacks and flashbacks within flashbacks, and just crazy editing. It's got Franco Nero, who has just the most amazing eyes. No matter how grimy his face gets, his eyes are like two blue shining stars.
Yes,
just two blue dwarfs just shining out of you. It's amazing.
This hetero male is mesmerized.
I love how he.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say
so
no,
iconic.
but for real. Bill, I love the way that you describe like visual things, especially like anything involving color. Just anytime you start talking about these, I'm just like, tell me more. This sounds just like really cool.
I love color. It's funny because I love black and white movies. We've made some black and white short films. I'm like, this is what we should do every time.
I hope we see them one day.
Oh yeah, but then we see how's that one? We'll show a bunch of my short films, then you can tear them apart.
That's not how we work.
KEOMA. KEOMA's okay. So a guy comes back to his town. His dad, I don't know, stepbrothers. Lots of shooting, lots of death.
It's a heavy movie.
It's a heavy movie.
But fun.
The thing that elevates it, the reason to watch this movie is the soundtrack. And I've said this before on another podcast, but I can't come up with a better analogy.
Now, here comes a controversial opinion, y'all, because most people think that's the worst thing about the movie. Not me. But...
Yes and no. It depends. You have to embrace it. Some things are terrible on their own, but if you embrace them, they become genius. If Joan Baez were kidnapped by a Mongolian throat singer and forced to sing a duet with him. But here's the trick.
In a male tenor. Right?
They were both locked in separate rooms and could not hear each other. That would be the soundtrack of KEOMA. And what they're singing is what's happening on the film. Like,
yeah, it's a Greek chorus.
It is. It's a Greek chorus sung by this one guy. And I'm not joking. Gargle with razor blades and whiskey, and you will approximate this man's voice.
You had me from Mongolian throat singing because I actually follow 2 bands that involve that. Yeah.
And at first,
coming around,
cool
he sneaks up on you too. Because at first it's just her, and she's doing this very fluent. Whoa!
Stop! I actually can't sing. I won't.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, all right.
I sing that line a lot. That's what. Yeah.
And then just when you're really kind of getting tired of her shit, all of a sudden here comes Froggy. And and you're like, whoa, like
then you're wanting her back.
Like, holy crap, what's happening here? And then the 2 of them are going on it, and the music is so overwhelmingly amazing, and it's not like anything else. There is nothing else like the soundtrack to KEOMA. I was describing it to people, and they're like, "Oh, Bill, master of the weird metaphor." Said, no, wait a minute. So I go on YouTube and look it up, and had to play it for them, and they're like, nailed it. It's incredible, and it works. This is just a weird little film. It's when spaghetti westerns are also starting to kind of get a little psychedelic. I think Django Kill is again one of my favorites. You forgot all about the vampire bats. How did that slip by?
Yeah, and the crucifixion in the jail with vampire.
Well, I mean, we got crucifixion, homosexual gang rape, people getting shot with gold bullets that other people dig out. Who's got room to remember the vampire bats? And nevertheless, they were there. So
not the weirdest thing in the movie. Somehow.
No, that's when vampire bats are not the weirdest thing in your movie.
See, I fucking love the Italians.
It's not a vampire movie.
This is why I love the Italians.
Yeah, they're just like, how do we ramp this up? How do we set this to 11?
Italians and Japanese, like in film, just like make everything super, super weird, and that is why they're 2 of my favorite cinemas.
I believe. Also in KEOMA is one of my favorite actors who I wish did more and is always an asset.
I'm going to try to
everything
guess
he's in.
I'll let you say it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
W.
You got it. Woody Strode.
My man.
Woody Strode. I mean, till the day he died. I mean, he was in some real crap too, like Kingdom of the Spiders, whatever. Doesn't matter. Woody Strode was amazing the first time I saw him in Spartacus, and was, he was great all the way through. There's some people that just have. There's a thing, there's a certain level of charisma. They don't even have to say a word. They come on the screen and your eyes are on them. And sometimes they're not even good actors, which is such a waste.
He is a good actor.
But he is a good actor and was good in everything. And he's good in this
sad
too.
role.
Yeah, it is.
George, his name's George.
Sad
That's
movie.
my first name.
There's a reason why Joan Baez is warbling away. It's not Joan Baez, by the way, but that's
the immortal line that George says to KEOMA. He's like, you still have your guitar, and he's like, it's just got one string, and I figure when it busts, so will I. Oh my god, this is some bleak shit.
Yeah. Oh, it's bleak. There's no happiness in these westerns. But
look at it the same way anymore.
So
it does have a happy ending.
Well, as happy as these things can be, there's, if the hero survives, but he's usually like alone, or lots of friends have died. Maybe he got the girl, but
Castellari, he boned up on a whole bunch of existential fiction, and he listened to the soundtrack to McCabe and Mrs. Miller with Leonard Cohen. And his brain put those 2 things together, and that's kind of part of a lot of KEOMA. I
remember watching McCabe and Miss Miller. It was like on the late show. And I'm watching this and I get to the ending. I'm like, God damn, why am I living in this decade where can you just, would it kill you to give me a happy ending? All right. If it's a horror movie with vampires, I accept the fact that growing up in the 70s, every vampire movie ends with the hero turning to his girlfriend and she goes right at him because she's been turned into a vampire off screen. I accept that. That's just the way it is.
Woo, but, go Carniorga.
And then they all froze to death. Just don't understand how bleak Generation X has. And I do count myself as Generation X, despite the fact that I'm technically like the last of the boomers. Listen, I had
if you're on the line, I feel like you get to choose your
you're there too, huh?
If I could not get myself by my own 2 feet to Woodstock legally, I am not a boomer. I had nothing to say. I had no control over
I approve of this.
Nobody pulled me and said, "Hey, do you think Sha Na Na would go well with Jimi Hendrix?" Like, sure. Who better? Got more people listen to Sha Na Na at Woodstock than were there for Jimi Hendrix. Watch the movie. There's nobody there. There's just a whole lot of crap. Just a couple of folks who have nowhere else to go and a lot of litter listening to Jimi Hendrix. But they were rocking out to Sha Na Na. So,
the only people who know Sha Na Na now are people our age who saw that ridiculous TV
horrible
series.
TV show.
Yes.
Yeah, that show made Hee Haw look like highbrow entertainment. But
hey, Hee Haw did have Roy Clark. He could play the fucking
absolutely he could. Yeah.
By the time they got that show, they were very polished as opposed to their performance.
Yeah, they were better at Woodstock.
Right. Well, okay. Yeah.
Everybody was good at Woodstock.
Anyway, KEOMA, fun movie, and I should just send a link or something because you just got to go on there and find just listen to the music.
And you had me from Mongolian throat singing, and I'm looking it up the second we are done recording. Okay. So
listen, you guys take care.
Okay.
But I gotta head. I gotta get ready.
All right,
for
buddy.
Tomorrow.
Get some sleep.
Bye, Bill.
Take it
Have
easy
a good night.
Bye bye,
Bill. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say, the people who did that soundtrack, the DeAngelis brothers, they did a lot of great Italian soundtracks. It's just in that one they made the mistake of having one of the brothers sing and deliberately try to imitate Leonard Cohen and having a hard time with it.
Oh no!
Wow.